As Venezuela, where President Nicolas Maduro is offering statements. Let's listen.
Delcy Rodriguez, Anabel Pereira, Gabriela Jimenez, so that they use their knowledge, and 3 important human beings of our country, professionals, Juan Carlos Loyo, Ricardo Menendez, university professors, and Alex Satt with all of his capacity of negotiation for the investment and development of the country. Each one of these engines, be aware, sectors of the national economy and investors. Here we are conforming the plan. I have given a term of 15 days to each engine so that they propose clearly the path, actions, and strategic plan of each engine. The engine of hydrocarbons, number 1, headed by the head of this motor, Delcy Rodriguez, and the executive secretary, president of PDVSA, and the motor of agriculture and the fishing sector. Be aware, business people as well. That will be directed by Juan Carlos Loyo and the executive secretary, Mandri Fernandez, in permanent dialogue with the agricultural industry. The third engine, non-exporting, non-oil exports, the new Minister of Foreign Trade, Coromoto Godoy, and the executive secretary, Daniela Cabello Contreras. These are the 3 first essential engines: hydrocarbons, which is petroleum, gas, petrochemical, food, agriculture, and exports, and non-oil exports, which involves money for the development of Venezuela. The 4th engine, mining and basic industry. There's still a world to be developed in the mining sector due to the power that Venezuela has in that sector. We have the plan, we have the capacity. Now we have to multiply the investments and production. This engine will directed by Hector Silva, and his executive secretary will be Luis Perez Gonzalez, a young man of Maracaibo, singer, a promising figure of music. And the 5th engine, industry, the civic and military sector. The industrial sector has made progress, and it's optimistic in extending its productive activities. We still have to recover the whole sector of over 250 industries that are at the hands of the state, and all of them need to be productive 100% without any excuse. Let's change anything that has to be changed, and we won't allow a single lie more. In an alliance with the working class, new investments, new schemes of investment. Let's produce with all the industries that are at the hands of the state. As the director of the engine, Alex Satt Moran, Minister of Industry and President of the Center of Productive Investments in Venezuela. Profitable at international level for investments. And the executive secretary will be Major General Henry Rodriguez Martinez, in charge of the military industry. In the 6th place, the sector of tourism, national and international tourism, I mean this sector is the secret weapon of development that has had an important growing process in the last few years in national tourism and international of high quality. Now carnivals are coming, and the holidays, and people in these holidays travel, and this is very important for the Venezuelan people, their right to party. It's important. That is why migrants know that if they return to Venezuela, they will recover a lot of things, including their respect as human beings, but as well as the right to party with their family. How much has suffered a migrant in Chicago watching their friends partying here, and he's there suffering because of the sanctions, because anybody should forget in this beautiful world we are building that those economic criminal sanctions against the economy of Venezuela in the year 17, 18, and 19 requested for the extreme right wing, the failure of the opposition of Guaido, were the ones that provoked, let's say, as a natural element, the migration that Venezuela had never had. And if you add the coyotes, it doesn't have a translation, it's the same word, and the action of coyotes directed by the same opposition, Carlos Vecchios, Molasque, Pizarro, that through Colombia, they took Venezuelans with a fake offer through social media, and they took them to the U.S. It's a mess. I've been analyzing it. It's not the first time. It's a mess of elements, and I always say it, my fellow mates, migrants. Venezuela is waiting for you. It's a blessed land, and you will return to be happy in this land, working, producing, and hugging each other. And you will have the most valuable right, which is the right to party. National tourism is flourishing, and international tourism is still growing. And the head of the motor, Leticia Hernandez, minister, and the secretary, another man, well prepared. Right now is the head of the economic special zone of the Tortuga Island, which is one of the most important touristic projects of Latin America and the Caribbean today. Bachelor Ali Padron, that is moving there to the Tortuga Island. The number 7 engine building. Venezuela has a space of growth and development because we have 92% of everything we need for the building sector and for the success of the new fusion mission housing and tricolor neighborhood. We need the motor at its best. That is why we need to concrete investments to produce cement 100%. We're barely at 25%. Everything needed. The secretary will be Juan Jose Ramirez, Ministry of Public Buildings, and in the sector of pharmaceuticals that has shined these years, after we endured difficult times, we couldn't even find Tylenol. They blocked us. Remember the year 2021, they prevent that we had medicine against COVID, and they weren't able to defeat us. If they close a door, we open a window. They won't be able to destroy us, and they will not be able to do it. The pharmaceutical sector has been through a process which is an interest process of expansion and growth. It still has a lot to grow. It has great technology and industry and growing possibilities. I have appointed Professor Gabriela Jimenez as the head of that engine so that she uses her knowledge in science and technology, and the Secretary, Minister of Health, Magali Gutierrez, a perfect team, so that we continue to see that engine shining. The ninth motor engine, the digital believer, and the development of the economy and the electronic transactions at any level. I won't say more. I have asked for the collaboration as the head of the engine to the director of the Central Bank of Venezuela, who is the boss, the head of this engine, and as executive secretary, Christian Hernandez, an economist, grandson of Italian and son of Uruguayan people. The 10th motor engine, it's the engine of the bank and the stock market. And now we have new plans to democratize credits so that it multiplies and enriches itself and provides products for the country and develop the market of the stock market. And the head of the engine will be Anabel Pereira Fernandez, and the executive secretary, Jimmy Berrios Ojeda. They will take care of the work of the 10th engine. The 11th engine, entrepreneurship, another secret weapon of these years to generate productive activity from the localities, the communities, the families, the entrepreneurship. I congratulate entrepreneurs. You're a good example of the economic miracle that is generated with creativity, effort, and sacrifice, as well as with intelligence and the creativity of someone who said, I'm gonna do this or that. There are entrepreneurs in Venezuela. This is what I said to the migrants that are returning. The path is entrepreneurship, craftsmanship, and as well as supporting the women that are entrepreneurs, the young people entrepreneurs, the grandparents of the homeland that are joining this effort in general. So the engine of entrepreneurship will be directed by Bachelor Sergio Lotartaro, president of the Bank of Workers, and the executive secretary will be Bachelor Marjorie Vardiela Alvarez, granddaughter of Gallegos, president of the National Fund of Entrepreneurship. There you have experience and desire to work, because we're going to build the National League of Entrepreneurs of Venezuela to articulate the system of credits, training, support, etc. In the same way, the 12th motor of this new stage, communal, socialist, and solidarity economy. We need to analyze the experiences that exist in the communal, territorial, and social economy, the so-called by some people socialist economy. I have appointed as the head of this engine someone who knows about it, Angel Prado, and as secretary, a fellow mate that comes from the fights of the communal sectors, Albanis Montilla, so that we conform the road to increase the economic support. It's essential to recover the communal banks as instruments of productive investment. And the recovery and expansion of the experience of urban agriculture, it's a whole world. Entrepreneurship is a whole world, and the socialist economy is as well a whole world. And as the 13th engine is a key sector related to communications, technology, and artificial intelligence, a field where Venezuela has been growing in a spectacular way. And I have appointed there a man who knows the sector, Minister Major General Jorge Marquez Monsalves, and as Executive Secretary, a surprise, a businessman, Major General Ivan Hernandez Dara. Let's communicate each other. That's the new slogan of Count TV. The 13th engine. Here's the economy. That is why we have planned our agenda to activate the number 1 T of this plan. Here we are together. We have a project as a country. We have a plan. We have people. We have a president. We have a homeland. We have everything. And anything will stop us. Written by Commander Hugo Chavez, the plan of the homeland 2013-2019. We endured the sanctions that hit us with this plan. Then on that basis, we created the plan of the homeland 2019-2025. And now we have presented a plan with multiple dimensions to advance in a simultaneous way in all of the dimensions of the development of the country. The plan of the homeland of the 70, the Great Transformations 2025-2031. Experience, project as a country, plan, people, and homeland. And president. People president. I have asked for the following. In the 5,000 communal circuits have grown. Let's analyze the consultation on February 2nd to celebrate the 26 years of the inauguration of our commander, Hugo Rafael Chavez Frias. 5,297 communal circuits. Now we have 5,334 communal circuits, and we continue to keep growing. You have taken notes of this. We're in a permanent session of the Economic Council. We have established the structure of the engines and their directors, and I also have ordered something precise. I have invited Foreign Minister Ivan Hill present, and always consequent. I have invited the Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Jorge Arriaza. We had a summit of ALBA that was great, and development plans came from there. I have invited Rander Peña, who comes for a summit in Mexico to talk about immigration and to be prepared in the issue of migration along together with Mexico, Honduras, Colombia, and several countries of Latin America. There were important conclusions there with several governments of Central America, and as well the Vice President for the Caribbean region, Raúl de Caucio, so that they take note as a priority of the foreign policy of Venezuela and the first economic T, the economic transformation for the well-being, the 13 engines that we have defined for this term 2031. They have to be articulated with an agenda of the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of America. 13 engines towards ALBA, towards Latin America and the Caribbean, and towards the global South. All of them must have their development agenda in that sense to guarantee joint investment and produce food in countries members of ALBA, and guarantee joint investments to advance in all fields. In ALBA, we decided to develop the issue of artificial intelligence, and today we have become a specialist in artificial intelligence, and we know the path to develop a sovereign artificial intelligence in our country, and we won't give up our will to develop the highest technologies of the world with sovereignty and independence. On the contrary, we are looking for the highest technologies because we have professionals, we have scientists, so let's produce. As a great Venezuelan said, let's produce food, science, and dignity. Clever Ramirez. I remember a genius of the revolutionary Venezuelan movement, Clever Ramirez. And during the 90s, he was talking about producing science, food, and dignity. So, you know, Latin American, Caribbean vocation and concrete actions with ALBA. We have the Agro-ALBA program, which encompasses Latin America, the Caribbean, and has incorporated Africa. That's our path the South, our America, dignity, science, independence. That's our own path. In a world that is going to be more and more multipolar and diversified and developed. Today, I reiterated the specific orders in several directions, but in a prioritized way. The National Economic Council must present immediately the new actions to advance in a plan of radical substitution of imports and produce in Venezuela. In the second place, a plan of investments and credits in the real economy of Venezuela that must be prioritized. I talked about this a lot. Reunited the bank. You are specialists about this. In third place, a plan of production of income in foreign currency for Venezuela. That's a task of each engine. In the fourth place, to perfect in a thorough way the plan of public companies, something that can be established by Venezuela in an effective way in all of the sectors. And in the fifth place, include in the orders the advancement in the plan of the tax system, development of the tax system of the country, to keep enhancing the tax system of our country. If you have more, you have to pay more. And in the second place, to end the tax fraud, which is a crime. I'm Christian, every day more Christian, and I feel the presence of God in my life and in the life of my homeland. I know He enlightens us, and He's every day with us. And our Lord Jesus Christ is our guide. We are walking along with Him. And something that is actually a sin, an unforgettable sin, the so-called capital sins. It's something is a capital sin in our religion and in every religion is tax fraud. It's a crime. And we must avoid it. So the plan and the guideline, and if we propose something, we ourselves something, we do it. Mrs. Vice President. And on the third place, to concrete the harmonization of the laws regarding taxes and any collect out of the tax law there in the town halls, the governorates that create chaos in the states. These are prioritized guidelines. We had some informations here, but we will left them for media. It's a good day, January 21st, 7 p.m. with 11 minutes. I can say today that these 2 days Monday and Tuesday, the T of the economic transformation has started with well pace, and we will have a great 2025 economic year and a simultaneous offensive of the plan of the 7T. Let's keep working, growing. I don't know if the Vice President wants to add some element, since this National Economic Council is joined by a great team, Mrs. Vice President. If someone has morals to talk to Venezuela of economy and social happiness, it's you. You have accomplished your word. You presented the plan of economic recovery and prosperity in 2018, and 5 years after Venezuela saw the results, and you provided a balance and important announcements for this new constitutional term that starts in 2025 until 2031. Venezuela knows that what you say is true and dreams come true, and what seemed to be an obstacle has allowed to turn Venezuela into a marvelous homeland, overcoming blockades, and these new guidelines, these engines, the transformation for the well-being of Venezuela has its word committed to the Venezuelan people and working together, and what means acting as a fair Venezuelan that has aspirations for its country. And that's why you have asked us for a plan of substitution of imports, a plan that has to do precisely with producing from Venezuela. These are strategic goals in this new plan, this new constitutional term headed by you. Let's think as Venezuelans, and that is why we need the substitution of imports. Our products must be the ambassadors of the planet, and the products of Venezuela must express what Venezuela are, and the most important brand of Venezuela is the people joining you for making Venezuela a great powerhouse. We have built this with our own effort. I refer to the components. We have created this based on our own effort, Latin American, Venezuelan ideals, based on our own resources, and it has been proven that that's the path. When the sanctions and threats came, we worked a lot, and it was proven that working is the best option. And now we will apply the 13 engines, and we will work united with our countries from ALBA and our fellow mates from Cuba. Cuba must know that it counts on the Bolivarian Venezuela to produce together and build together happiness, prosperity, and the peace that is a right for Cuba, Latin America, and Venezuela, a great friend of our countries. A day like today, 25 years ago, January 21st, 2020, the pandemic was spread in the world, but not in Venezuela. January 21st, 2020, I was in a meeting, and Diego Armando Maradona arrived. I'm wearing his watch today. I feel lucky when I wear it. We were together there, talking a lot. We shared a dinner, a long dinner, hugged each other.
Maradona en ese año nos ayudaba de una cosa increíble.
He helped us in an incredible way that year.
Logró traer mucho alimento y medicinas a Venezuela.
He was able to bring medicines and food to Venezuela. I think I've never said this before. Diego Armando Maradona. And he told me many times.
Ese día me lo dijo varias veces.
That day he told me that several times. He told me, Nicolas,
tú no sabes las presiones.
You don't know the pressures that have been put on me and the threats I have got and the calls so that I don't support Cuba or Venezuela anymore. But I support you and I'll support you to death. Diego Armando Maradona. He helped a lot during that 2020. We did a lot of things in silence, as Jose Martí says, to provide food for the people at their homes. He provided that food in silence, a true friend, a man of bold, with ideals of peace, sovereignty, and absolute independence of our country. A powerful, very powerful voice that is still resounding in the consciousness of the youth, of the honest men and women who love the right to exist of our homelands and of our peoples. So I close this session here in the room of the Council of Ministry of Miraflores, remembering Maradona and saying, long live Latin America and the Caribbean, united, free, in peace and sovereign. It is activated the first T of the economic transformation. Thank you very much. God bless you.